Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Live Lesson. My name is Aldrine Guerrero, joined by these two fine gentlemen, Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai the Legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai. So we're here. We're going to be taking some questions. That's how this works. You guys have questions and we have an answer. However you guys want to send it to us, we do have an email. We have a we have a message system over on Ukulele Underground. We have a voicemail if you guys want to leave a voicemail. If you guys want to hear your voice on the show, we can do that as well. You guys can send us messages or videos or anything via the UU Plus forum as well. So however you guys get your question to us, we'll try to answer it here on Thursday Live Lesson. Right, Kahai?
Yep. Yeah.
So let's get started. Let's answer the first question. Let's go right for it.
Okay. Yeah, I got a question in the middle of the week, and it seemed like a pretty interesting question. So I asked him if we could ask it during live lesson. It's from Lucas, and he says, "I've become pretty used to tapping my foot while playing, but I noticed that some songs are quite fast, and to keep up with the foot tapping in quarter notes can be quite exhausting. I'm experimenting with tapping my foot in half notes on these songs, but I find that this is quite difficult sometimes as it's a new pattern and my foot tends to follow along with the strumming rhythm, as this is what I am accustomed to. Any tips and slash advice on this, or a good way to go about this?"
I mean, you're already approaching it like how I would approach it. Like instead of tapping the quarter notes, tap the half notes, and that would just be like instead of playing it double time, you're actually doing the reverse, half time. So something like body surfing, for example. So I haven't played in a while. So you don't want to tap your foot like. What you can do instead is take this 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 instead thinking of it as 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and that's the half times. See what I mean? Where like you're counting. I don't know if you guys could hear my foot tapping because I was trying to tap my foot as loud as I can. So I'll try to do it again. So instead of going you would then be tapping 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So you're doing the right thing. I know it takes a little bit of time to get used to tapping it that way, like tapping a slower beat than it is to kind of tap the faster beat. Because for me, definitely, the faster the tapping is, or if I'm like doing a recording, the faster I hear the metronome, the easier I can kind of follow the beat. Slower tapping is tougher, and I'll vouch for you. It's tough for me too. It's not easy, but I would start out with just kind of listening to the song, whatever song that you're doing, and just seeing if you can kind of like just snap your fingers to the halftime, or just like what I did is I added an accent to where my foot would tap. So and I just kind of like sync my foot with that beat, and you can also kind of just, you don't even have to tap your feet sometimes. Like that's if you're still tapping your feet, it's a good thing, that'll keep you nice and steady. But for the most part, if you kind of practice and you have this steady strum, you can kind of substitute the strum or your hand for the tapping of your foot. So your foot, this kind of movement of doing 1 2 3 4 could be substituted with your hand going 1 2 3 4, because just like your foot going down up down up down up, your hand can also go down up So this will just be like your metronome. Because strumming pattern or not, I know there's like that dirty word, strumming pattern. Like it's still, you're still kind of doing this. I'm gonna put my camera down so you can see my hands. I'm still doing this, and all I'm doing is I'm just kind of missing on some beats and adding adding maybe flourishes or chunks in the rest of the other beats. But for the most part, my my hands stay steady. Of even if I'm doing down down up down up, my hand goes. I'm just missing some. Eventually your hand, if you're strumming correctly and just kind of letting your hand flow and letting the natural weight of your hand go down, that should set up your steady beat. And the foot, kind of just helps out if you need it. I don't know about like tapping your foot with the melody line though, because a lot of I remember being in band and I remember the people who who kind of like started with me, like when we were first year band students, like when they would play like Twinkle Twinkle, for example, like they'd kind of tap their foot to the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and then they would kind of stop like tapping their feet like when the melody line stops too. And it's kind of like this old man, dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So I mean, like it's good to just kind of listen.
How?
No, it's not how. So you want to just listen to the song and just see if you can get used to like clapping or tapping or snapping your fingers to a half beat, and that should kind of get you used to it, and then add your playing in. So if you're having a hard time, try it without playing and then add your ukulele. Yeah. I'm sure these guys have more advice for you. Okay, go ahead, dudes.
Also, oh, sorry.
No, you can go.
We've mentioned it before, but instead of tapping, I don't know if this is what you're doing, but instead of tapping your toe, you can tap your heel. And I do that all the time, and you can go pretty fast. If you're not lifting your heel all the way up, you can just kind of bounce, and then just kind of like just get a bounce, and then you can
help you feel the groove too.
Yeah, you can emphasize like the half, and then also do like some of the quarter notes too, right? So you can go do ba 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 like that,
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is doing like kind of a half and then a full. So like on each of the quarters you're bouncing just a little bit, and then doing a full drop to the floor on the half notes. Boom ba, and then you're just kind of just feeling the groove.
Yeah.
And then your strumming hand is going with it too.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot easier than kind of like
tapping.
Overextending, like hyper extending your it's a lot of strain on your shin, And so like that muscle, if this is your foot, this is your shin, and that muscle is kind of like really getting strained if you're tapping your toe. But if you tap your heel, that's a lot less strain on any of the muscles, and it goes more with gravity, and your whole body kind of gets into it, because really the tapping is just to kind of get you in sync with the music and have a sense of segmenting the beats. So yeah, that's I know we talked about that a little bit before, but that's like a good way to do it, where you can still do your quarter notes, but maybe not, you don't have to do like the full range of motion for each quarter note in order to pull it off if it gets really fast.
Yeah. Great advice. Go ahead.
Yeah. I told them too, like, we show tapping and we tell people to tap when they're starting off. And that's really to get your internal rhythm to be like pretty regular, So it's not like your it's not like your rhythm is like kind of like this, like, like it just jumps all over. You don't want to go from like, a steady BPM of like, I don't know what this would be, like 100, like, to like all of a sudden it's like going 100. I was doing double time, like even to jump, like consciously try to jump, I have a hard time like jumping just like 10 BPM or whatever. But you want your, even if you speed up and slow down, you kind of want that to be like gradual. You don't want it to just like immediately all of a sudden you're playing at 130 BPM or something when you're playing at 100 or 90 or whatever. So tapping your foot kind of keeps it so like when you're first learning music, it keeps it so your tempo is consistent, and then it kind of like as you learn more, that's where it's like you don't necessarily have to do it for like every song, because I told them like there probably is going to be times where the song is really fast and you're going to have a hard time tapping to it, or like you might be playing in some place where if you're playing like for an audience or something and there's like hardwood floors or something, you don't want to have like the tapping be distracting to them, right? So you have to figure out another way to feel rhythm or to keep count. So that's like you use tapping when you start off, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to necessarily like keep doing it. It's a good habit to build, but it's not like something like, oh, I gotta tap my foot, I gotta tap quarter notes for every song I do. It's like there's probably gonna be times where you can't do that. And in that sense, it's like kind of like what Aaron said, like you just any way that you can feel the rhythm internally and feel it through your body, like you're doing something to feel the rhythm, is like that's fine. That works perfectly fine. That's where you see people bob their heads or kind of sway or do something, they're not necessarily tapping their feet, but they're keeping rhythm in other times. And whatever works for you, then yeah, just use that,
Mm-hmm. Sense of groove. Just groove. Just groove tonight. Right, Kai?
Yeah.
How do you groove?
Oh, well, like the thing is, like, I like from being in band, I remember we learned to tap and count, count your rest and stuff. And I was terrible at counting my rest, and I was terrible at tapping. But like during those times where I'm not playing, like I listen to the other instruments and I know what count they're on. So I'm kind of counting by singing along to the other instruments that are being played. I'm like, okay, so I have like 2 measures where the drummers are gonna do this, or 2 measures where another instrument is gonna do that. And playing ukulele is a little different. There's not really like solid breaks of like, oh, you're not gonna be playing for half a minute or whatever. Is like most songs when you play with ukulele, you're gonna be playing all the way through. But yeah, like I think you're saying like you don't want to be tapping out the rhythm of the song itself, or you don't want to that's not how you keep rhythm really, or keep steady rhythm. But then that also is like a helpful tool if you're tapping and you can hum along to the song, like you can hear the song in your head being played. I think if you're hearing the song being played in your head and trying to play along to that, your rhythm and your song will be more consistent than if you're just trying to like kind of you're reading it off a piece of paper, or you're just like thinking about the song, like as it's going on. Because that's I think that's kind of what all successful musicians do, is like they have the idea of the song already in their head, and their hands are just moving to what is going to translate it to going to be playing. So yeah, it's called audiation. Try and imagine what you're going to be playing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned band and stuff, and that's exactly what it was like. I mean, in band, you gotta like read the music, and if you have like 4 measures of rests and stuff, you're not there counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I guess most beginner musicians do, but it's good to just kind of be familiar with the music itself, so like, okay, well, I'm gonna come in as soon as like like this happens. This like there's like a cue that you're looking for. That's just kind of knowing doing the music. It's good to know the music well enough that what's gonna happen, before before it happens, or just you don't even have to think about the rest. You're kind of more doing it by feel. And I learned how to do that. Like when we did like marching stuff, I didn't want to put a lyre on my clarinet when we were marching, and it was just like the most annoying thing. So I'm like, why don't I just memorize the music like all of it, and so and I told myself, because I was playing ukulele at that point, I'm like, I don't look at music when I play my uke, so like why do I need to, like, and I'm playing the melody line, so that's the same thing as like I'm playing You Don't Write on my ukulele because that's really all I knew how to play. And it's like, I'm not looking at any kind of sheet when we do this, so and that was kind of like eye-opening. I'm like, I don't need music really, I could just like play it without it. So playing on stage, I think we've talked about this before, but there are like those people that play on stage with like the the stacks of music, and that's cool. Like if you're doing like a long gig, like a wedding, and people come up and ask you for requests and stuff, and bring your iPad and whatnot. But if it's like a performance, then you should kind of know like what is coming up and what what you should be playing. I don't know, to each his own, really. I don't want to say anything bad about people that use their music up on stage. Just maybe they're prepared for anything. That's it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that is like, you can tell when somebody is reading music and most of their mind is on the reading the music itself, instead of when they're playing music and they can hear what the music is supposed to be in their head and they're just recalling it, right? And they're translating to them actually playing. And yeah, I think it's different skill sets. Both are kind of useful, but that's where it's like it can be harder to, I don't know, play naturally when you're just like looking at music the entire time and stuff. So yeah,
I always thought like back then that like, what how cool would that be if there was like a band, like a symphonic band like that play the whole piece, like no music, none of them had music. I'm like, that would be so impressive. I'd be so impressed. And and there's some, but it's like smaller, like smaller ensembles. Like I watched a lot of SNL for like the live performances. It's like one of my dreams to one day play on that stage. But like whenever I see a performer perform on an SNL stage and they got like the strings behind them, and those strings people have no music, I was like, that is so impressive. Like that is so hard, when you think about it. But they're really only playing that one song, so they just got to know the cues to that one song. So it's not that bad. So I don't know. When you think about it, it's cool, but it is definitely impressive when you don't see people with music up and then doing their thing. It's cool.
It's a little bit different, but Jacob Collier actually came up with a system where he plays the piano, and each note of the piano and like what he's playing with both his left and right hand is giving different cues for each member of the orchestra. And so it's like they're playing music live. Like actually, they're not getting the music, it's like, oh, here's a measure coming up or whatever. It's like each note that Jacob is playing live is what's coming up on their phone, and so that's what they know to play next. They don't like see it beforehand. They don't. It updates in real time, and like he showed that at like MIT, and I think there's like probably some things that have to be worked out like technology wise, but you can almost see where it's like that might be like the next gen of music performance. It's like not
it's cool.
It's almost combining the side of like orchestra and like free jazz improvisation, right? Like it's like, we're not gonna give you the music, you're just gonna play what you play at that time, like, and whatever comes out, that's gonna be the music for that night or whatever. So
that's cool. All right. Do we have any other questions? I don't want to spend too long on this one question. Like I know we can go on and on. Do you have another question, Kai?
We didn't have another question, but I was gonna ask I know you played DDR, right?
Yeah.
And actually like that's one thing that like me and my dad, like we can't watch something like being played and giving you music cues, and it's easier for us to turn away and to just use our ears to follow. Like I noticed that with both me and my dad. But I was playing a rhythm game with my friends at their house, and I was off. Like I couldn't get the rhythm, and so instead of like looking at the screen, I was like, what the heck is going on? I'm trying to follow the screen and I think I'm hitting it, but I'm off. Like, what is the disconnect? So I turned away, and when I turned away and I like looked away and didn't use my eyes, I started like nailing the rhythm and I started getting it perfect. And I think it's because there's like, with those types of things, they have to, account for lag, and they have to account for the TV and everything.
Right.
So it's not like perfectly on beat. It's like a little bit ahead or a little bit behind. So if I try looking at the TV, I'm like, oh, like my brain doesn't, it gets confused between the two. But if I look away, then I can actually like, oh, okay, I can just hear where the beats are, and I can kind of play along to it.
Well, with those games, like I believe like their optimal use is if you use an RCA jack, to connect it to your TV. Because if you use HDMI, then like I think more of that lag happens.
Yeah.
So like the more analog it is, the better. So like less lag. And I was gonna add that since you brought up like DDR and feel and looking at the thing, I used to be into dance. We're talking about Dance Dance Revolution. For the people who don't know what DDR means, Dance Dance Revolution is like a dancing game that has arrows, and then you figure out which arrows and stuff. And like the Asian boy that I was back then, like I follow the Dance Dance Revolution scene or DDR scene pretty closely, and I could do like freestyles back then, which means like not even like looking at where the arrows are gonna be, and you don't even start start by looking at the screen. You start like backwards, like looking behind you, and then you make steps according to like what it is happening on the screen. So it's much more like impressive. So if you watch any like I don't know, circa 2004 2003 to like 2007 8 like DDR, all the freestyle DDR players and Pump It Up will like for the world championships would start out that way, like not even looking at it, just like doing it by feel, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So they memorized what buttons were coming up.
But it's crazy because it's backwards.
Yeah. So they created like a routine based off of that.
Yeah, and it's cool because like Pump It Up, for example, there's like there's two, right? So some people would not just like stick to the one to do like all these spins and crazy stuff with two. And then there's like there's like the couples dance where like it's really cool. It actually looks like dancing. If you I'll send you some links, Kahai, to like old school like Korean World Championships where like there's the two people dancing, and just it's pretty cool. Like I used to be super into it, and I have some friends that I've done routines with. Let's just say, like that's how nerdy I was back in the day, and like the no looks and like no using of the bar. It's crazy. It's hardcore, and I wish I was still doing it. And I think it'd be like 30 pounds lighter.
When I was playing rhythm games with my friends, it was funny because I couldn't look at the TV, so I like faced away. And two of my other friends were just using the TV to like get the rhythm, but then one of my other friends, I don't know, she did this to like did this intentionally, but instead of looking at the TV, she looked at her sister to get all the cues from her sister. And she was doing better when she was looking at her sister than when she was looking at the TV. So both of us were looking away from the TV, and our other two friends were like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you guys even looking at the TV?" And I was like, "I can't. It's messing up my brain. I don't I can't function when I look at the TV." And I was like even tapping my leg out to the rhythm itself, but like as soon as I just like try and look at the TV and try and like follow along to what's written out, it was just like, oh no, my brain, there's something up. I can't do it.
Rhythm games, man, it's fun. So I couldn't help notice, Aaron, behind you is the brand new Ukulele on the Ground HQ.
It's my kitchen.
It's in the box. It's in boxes still, it's you are on site for the brand new ukulele. And we posted on Instagram about it, and I saw the post. But if you guys want to check it out, we posted a picture of our old fridge because we're moving, to where Aaron is currently right now. And a bunch of you folks have sent us some awesome things, along the years, and we didn't want to just like take down all that stuff from our fridge without kind of showing it off first. So if you guys want to see, if you made our fridge, there's that post there. And if not, it's probably because we got like a butt ton of stuff, and like we couldn't really fit it all in one fridge. But I don't know. Let's start a new wall and or fridge to put stuff on, and it's really the end of an era because we're leaving that old office that we've been in since like 2000. 18, 19? Like when did Ryan move back?
No.
No, sorry, 7, 8, say 7 or 8. I had it 10 years. So yeah, when did Ryan move back? Was
2008.
like Ryan's? Oh yeah, that's like Ryan's old apartment. That's why Like when he moved
and then
back.
he moved out, and then we moved into that and made it our office. So
we've been there for a long time, and now we have this new place, and we're gonna spiff it up. It's gonna be fun, man. And I tried to spiff up whatever I can. Also, Manny's back there. He's no longer hiding over here. We added a few new things. Bandito Tyler poster, got that. Let me know if anybody wants one. I've got a bunch of them. Like there's that Korean poster, we got from Korea. That's not just something that I made for myself, so I know what my name is. Like that was given to us by a fan. Soul gave that to me. Soul Yoon. So shout out. Yeah, good stuff. Like I got a uke here now. I'm gonna see if I can fit one of those tiny, like tiny mini micro ukes. Let's put it over here instead, because I was like trying to see if I can make it go like this into the side, but I couldn't quite do it. So I'm gonna see if I can make a little tiny uke. I've always kind of wanted a tiny uke because as something that's within my reach during these lessons, because on the private lessons, you get a lot of those like, oh my, do I need like a bigger ukulele? Like this doesn't seem to, it doesn't sound right. Maybe my uke's too small or whatever. So it's always nice to like, oh yeah, well look at this, like so. And I always kind of tell them like I have like a micro uke like this tiny, and I'm pretty much using the same technique. It's like the same thing. It's not really the size of the uke, but then like I see it in their face, they're like, no, you don't understand, you don't know my ukulele. It's kind of like that, like okay,
it's too small. The soprano size too small.
Yeah, and they're like, maybe I just have huge hands. I'm like, I know I'm 5'3", but trust me when I say my hands are humongous. Like it's quite abnormal for someone who's 5'3", like to have hands as big as mine. And I should have played piano or something. Like they're massive.
Yeah.
So don't think that like
didn't you measure hands with Matt?
Yeah, we have the same size hands, and Matt's like 6 feet or something.
I think he's over 6 feet.
Oh yeah, we have the same
six
size
something.
hands. It's insane, like how big my reach is. So don't think like, oh, it's because I have big hands, and then like June has small hands, so it fits what he does. It's like, no, it's just. So I want like a tiny ukulele here to just be able to like, oh, here you go. Let me just debunk this myth real quick, because it's a myth, like you don't the ukulele size really doesn't matter, like because you can you can make the same argument with like with Herbo Senior. He plays like a soprano ukulele, and he at one point was the best ukulele player on the planet. Like it's one of those things, like how did he do all that with his tiny ukulele? He doesn't have small hands either,
Yeah.
It's just the same way going the opposite direction too, right?
Yeah.
Where people say, oh, my hands are too small for the ukulele. If I just had bigger hands, it would make holding bar chords or whatever easier. And it's kind of like, I always wish there was like examples of this for ukulele itself, but there's examples of musicians who...
Oh, I thought you were talking about magic. There's examples of people that do magic with tiny hands. Oh, so people are like, oh, maybe my hands are not big enough.
Yeah,
or no hands. Yeah.
That was the thing, is like on the cardistry and magic forums, like I think the first rule was like you can't ask if your hands are too small or too big to do whatever trick. And when people would complain about that, they'd be like, oh man, but you don't understand, my hands are really too small. They would like send them videos of this guy who was born without any hands, and he's doing sleight of tricks, and like he's doing cardistry with no hands. So really there is like, it kind of is like no excuse. I know for guitar anyways, right? The Django Reinhardt, he only had 2 fingers on his left hand, and he still played things. Yeah. So, and we personally know people who, lost their pinky fingers and stuff. And then I wish I could remember his name, but there's a bass player who has no right hand or no right arm. So he plays all his bass, licks and stuff, by tapping and using his left hand and doing more of a pull off and like tapping technique. But it's kind of like it's gonna be harder if you have those things, if you don't have hands, or if you have smaller hands or bigger hands or whatever. But I think when you have those things, that just means that you need to use more creativity to figure out a way to play that works for you. And that is like, that's what those guys do. They use creativity and hard work to overcome their deficiencies, or I don't know what disabilities, I guess. So it kind of is like no excuse.
No. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, if we're gonna be real, there is a difference. If you play a smaller instrument versus a bigger instrument, it is easier to play a smaller, like a soprano ukulele, like in order to play all those chords and stuff. It is easier than if you were to play a tenor, because the stretches are a little bit more, but it's not so much that it's impossible. Like it's still. I mean, my example that I give to people when they're talking about like my hands are too small is like those tiny like Korean kids like playing the guitar and like and dancing and whatnot. That kind of very famous video. I'm not I'm not trying to say that everyone should be like those Korean kids and be able to like be amazing at guitar with tiny hands, but it's I'm just saying it's possible. Like it's not impossible for for people that are like, oh well, I guess, or you can just believe it so that you can so that you have an excuse to buy a new uke, which I totally encourage. You know what I mean? If you're like, well, my hands are too small, or my hands are too big for this uke, so I guess I gotta go buy a new one, and I'd be like, you know what, maybe they are too big. Yeah, maybe you should go get 10 ukes.
I think the danger of that though is that people start off with a soprano. They say my hand is too small. They buy a concert, and then they go, oh, it's still too small. They buy a tenor, and they're like, oh, it's still too small. So baritone or whatever. But I feel like people who think that way, they're like never satisfied. They're always looking for. It's kind of like the idea that, oh, my equipment will make me better, but it's, if you're like a good player, it's almost like you can play anything. And the equipment is secondary. It will make you better, but the equipment doesn't make the player. The player makes the equipment. So, yeah, just don't get caught up in that. If you do feel like, oh, maybe I want to try out a bigger instrument to see if it fits me better, that's perfectly fine too. But yeah, don't let it be like the thing that holds you back, or says like, oh, I can't play it because I have too small hands, I have too big hands, or my uke isn't big enough, or it's too small. So.
Yeah, when I was I played a soprano prelude from like 4th grade to 9th grade. Like it's a soprano prelude ukulele, and it wasn't good. Like it's not a good ukulele, but like it's what I had, and I played. Like I learned all my basics and all my fundamentals and all like the songs that I mean I was playing Kyle Crater Boy songs on there, and it's I was very demanding as far as picking wise, like with that. I believe I learned like Guava Jam and TNC like on a soprano ukulele, but when I made the switch, it was better. So I do think that like there's a certain magic to the to getting a better instrument, not necessarily getting a bigger instrument. If I'd gotten a soprano, maybe like Komaka, I would still be like, oh hey, like look how much better I am like on this ukulele. But it just when it sounds better, it kind of makes you want to play better. I don't know. Like it encourages you to like keep playing, because it's like, man, I just want to keep making music with this. Like I got the that Taylor ukulele that that I made a deal with one of our viewers, and
He's in the
still
chat.
Oh yeah. I still play it to this day. Like I write and I was talking about making an album and stuff, so I basically I've been writing with that, and that's one of the ukes that I'm recording the album with, because it's just, why not? That uke sounds so good. It has to be recorded, like it's just, it would be a shame, really. But
yeah.
Also, speaking of the background, making myself spiffy, I couldn't really do anything with here. This looks super empty, but I'm just thinking of it as like the Mona Lisa. You know, there's like the hard side and there's like the soft side. Like there's like the left and right side. So I'm like the Mona Lisa guy. You know, that's all I'm trying to say. So maybe you should call me Mona Lisa from now on, guy.
I don't think I'm gonna be doing that.
I will edit your contract for this job, and I will add it to your job description.
Well, going back to what you were saying earlier, I'm really not trying to dodge this, but no. I wanted to bring this back up. We've had times where like you've played other people's ukuleles, right? Mm-hmm. And they kind of have the attitude of like, well, of course you can make it sound good.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, anybody can make it sound good. It's just like you gotta put in the work to be a good player. But like that's the I know there's like a video series where they give professional photographers like the cheapest or oldest cameras, or like, you know, cameras that are like not great, and they tell them like, oh, just see what photos you can take with it. And those guys, like, because they're so good, they know how to work around those things, you know, how to use the environment or how to creatively work around the problems. And like, I think, and then people like look at that and then they're like, oh, these photos are like better than some people who have like the best cameras in the world or whatever, but they don't have like the experience, you know, or they're just like, oh, I spent the most money to buy the most expensive camera, but I haven't actually taken pictures or worked at like trying to take good pictures. So I think, yeah, it's if you have an instrument that you like and you like the sound of it, you're gonna want to play it, right? Like more. But if you have an instrument and you're sitting, or if you're always constantly saying like, oh, it's my instrument's fault that I don't sound good, or like, oh, it's this instrument, I need to get a new instrument. Like, just don't feel like, or don't make it like the pasture is always greener on the other side, right? Because you might get another ukulele, or you might get something else. We've heard stories of people getting other ukuleles and then they're like, why am I not getting better? It's like, because it's not really the ukulele, it's the time and work that you put into it.
Take it from Aaron. You know, Aaron's like a world-class traveling professional musician, and he plays his GS Mini all over the world, you know, like
and I still play my Fluke.
He still plays his Fluke.
That's my primary like
has owned an ukulele an ukulele company, or a ukulele teaching company.
I've had access to all the greatest ukuleles. Like, I've been able to try out all the greatest ukuleles of all time, and I still love that Fluke. I mean, it's right here. That's how close it is. It's always right here, and it's kind of beaten up, and like there's like wear and tear in different spots. But
I remember the first time I played that uke. It was we were at Kapilani Park, and you're like, oh, I bought a uke. I'm like, oh yeah, which one did you get? Like, I bought one of those Flukes, and I think we were like getting ready to cover one of those one of the ukulele festivals, and you just like bought it, or you bought it before and you brought it like to show me.
I bought it when I was in college. Like,
okay, that's the first time I remember seeing
college. Yeah.
Like, here's my uke. I'm like, oh, nice Fluke.
yeah. It's made out of plastic.
It's awesome. It's a tank. I think it's a tank.
Yeah. But I mean, it's funny because the top is solid pine, which isn't known really as like a, you know, like a tone wood, but it actually has opened up, you know, because it's solid. It's opened up since I bought it, and so
now share your Fluke. Show off your Fluke. Show everyone your Franken Fluke.
Yeah. I don't even know what strings are on here, because
strings, this plural.
yeah. This C is definitely a Worth Brown, but the rest are not Worth Brown. and there's a passive pickup in it that I never use.
Have you plugged it in? Like, use it for stuff?
Yeah, but I mean, it's passive, and it's really, you know, the signal is really weak, so I just never really used it, even on stage or anything, plugged it into anything.
But it sounds nice though, like because the uke is aged and it sounds, like it sounds really woody. I don't know how else to explain it. It's got like kind of that darkness, that mid, that's kind of that's a little bit more pronounced. I think it would sound good even as with with a passive pickup, because it would just pick up all that like woody sound. Yeah, I think it would sound pretty good. I'm guessing.
The neck is plywood.
World class musician
made of plywood. These are premium standard friction tuners.
1-to-1 fraction.
1-to-1
What
friction tuners. They work perfectly. Like I couldn't be happier because it stays in tune. Like because the body is made out of plastic. And so it doesn't really flex or change with humidity or temperature. So they're almost always in tune. Like I'll put a tuner on there and I'll tweak it a little bit, but it's just locked in there. Yeah. And I don't bend or do too much anyway.
This is hashtag before... not an ad.
This
is just Aaron loving this uke.
Yeah, this was I bought it before Fluke started making their bridges all out of like plastic. So the bridge is made out of wood. I don't know what kind of wood, but there's a plastic saddle, but the bridge is made out of wood. And then later they switched it to like some kind of a composite that's kind of similar to the plastic that they use for the back or for the fingerboard. Fingerboard is plastic. These dots have rubbed away long ago, and then I used car paint, like touch-up paint, to put them back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
you're kind of following like a long-standing Hawaii tradition, right? Because like we've talked about it before, a lot of Hawaii musicians play takamines. And in the guitar world, takamines are known as like kind of the cheaper entry guitar. So like if you go to the mainland and you can go, oh, do you have takamines? They'll like look at you and be like, takamines? What are you talking about? No,
you want that?
Yeah. I have a $500 Taylor that's way better. But then like I think the it's changing now. But before, like while we were growing up, that was like one of the guitars that you see a bunch of working musicians play, right?
Yeah.
Or I think even John Yamasato still plays.
Yamasato has one. Sean Howell has one.
Although John has a kind of expensive takamine.
He has the grand concert or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but he started off with like a standard takamine that you would pick up at any random music store.
I like takamine, and I have a takamine, but it's like saying that he has an expensive takamine. It's almost like saying like, oh, you have like the fastest slow horse.
Yeah.
It's like Kala used to be like the kind of least expensive and stuff, but now they have like Kala Elites. That's like the most expensive of like the economy brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, I guess. I think I gave you my takamine, Kahai, right?
You're like a classical.
My classical. I had a classical takamine, and then I bought a Taylor classical, so swapped it out. I'm like, I guess I don't, but it's a good guitar. I was like, this has to go to, this is just gonna be taking up space in my house. This has to go to, somebody who will play it. So I gave it to Kahai.
My first ever like guitar that my parents bought for me was a takamine, like a acoustic takamine, and that's like I don't play that one anymore. But like I love that guitar because that's kind of what I learned to play guitar on. So it really is like you don't need the most expensive, or you don't need the best thing. I think the one requirement is, does your instrument stay in tune? Like when you tune it up, if it does, you're pretty good. Like all the other things,
when I started getting into guitar, I bought a Jasmine, which is like the lower end takamine. So takamine is already kind of low end. So this is like the Makala of guitars, but it sounded pretty good for $100. That sounded odd. Like that Jasmine that I had back then sounded awesome, and I think Tito Boy has it now. Like that beginner Jasmine that I bought like back in high school.
Yeah, we have one here. Well, someone gave it to us.
I have a black takamine at my parents' house. that was boys actually. Those Tito boys.
Mm-hmm.
But he got another one, like a fancy schmancy one, and he's like, well, I'm not using this one, so I was like, paid for it, I guess, like because I gave him one, and I was like, oh, this is cool, that's nice. Black.
So,
I don't know if it was in any of the videos.
since we're talking about guitars, Ritesh had a question where he said, going from uke to guitar, do you change your fingering? How much of relearning do you need to do?
Not much. I mean, fingering is basically this. I mean, chord shapes, if we were to call it like chord shapes, is gonna stay relatively the same, except that there's two extra right at the top. So if playing your C chord shape, let's just talk about just the shape, not the chord itself, but the C chord shape is the same thing as a C chord shape on guitar. Like you're playing the bottom string, third fret, or the I guess the highest string. I don't know what you would see. Yeah. This is ukulele terms. Because there's no bottom string at the top, you know what I mean? So whenever I say bottom, it's the literal like bottom part of ukulele. Anyway, so with the guitar, this pretty much is the same, except that there is the extra two strings that you would need to hold down, so that like a G would look like this on the guitar, but it's really just the ukulele C, so, or F, for example, on the ukulele, the chord shape F is like a C chord shape on the guitar, like, so just imagine like, there's two more strings here, and then the string right above this is going to be playing the third fret, and that's like your C chord on the guitar. And even like the B flat chord on the guitar is kind of like our E flat chord, or a B chord on the guitar is like an E chord on the ukulele. Like that lines up pretty much the same, where you're like borrowing the top three strings on the ukulele. Same thing on the guitar, you'd be borrowing the B, G, and D string on the guitar. So a lot of those chord shapes transfer over. So I wouldn't, don't change too much.
Yeah. I think
you just gotta adapt. It's a different instrument. It's not the same instrument.
Yeah, but they share similar shapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even like even scale shapes, like that's also very very helpful. The scale shape of like the 02013023, that's also on the guitar. Like it's pretty much the same. You can definitely go lower because you have lower strings. So but kind of knowing halfway down your strings, it prevents you from relearning a lot of stuff.
So Ritesh asked, what about finger picking?
Finger picking, if you've played a low G, and I know you have a new Taylor, so you don't need mine anymore. So if you have a low G, if you've been kind of used to picking with low G, it would pretty much be the same, because your thumb would still be playing kind of like the bass here, and these fingers would be playing the the melody lines on the bottom. So it'd be the same thing as if you were to play a low G ukulele and you're doing your finger picking. It's just a lot a lot wider spacing, so because you would have a lot more bass strings, so you could be up here on the E while your pointer and middle finger is on the B and E on the bottom. So like pretty much the same, though. You would approach it the same way: thumb with the bass, pointer, middle finger, ring finger, because you're playing guitar at this point, would play the treble strings.
Yeah, and you can almost use like some of the finger picking patterns from ukulele, like in to out and out to in and all those stuff, and try like it might not work for every song, but you just like, if you hear a song using finger picking, try and use those patterns and see if it fits, because like there's a chance that it will fit.
Yeah. Also, the strings are closer together for the guitar than ukulele. The strings spacing is wider. So even that too, like kind of going back to people saying like, oh yeah, my fingers don't, I have big hands, or my fingers don't fit. It's like playing guitar is actually more precision, with your individual fingertips than ukulele. Ukulele is the best like starter instrument. Take advantage of it. It's roomy. It's actually it just because the body is small, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're fingering, like the way that the fretboard is laid out, it's actually pretty roomy compared to guitar.
that's where like it's kind of funny when people say, "Oh, I came from guitar to ukulele because I think it's easier because the neck is gonna be smaller and stuff." Which it is. It's not as wide because you don't have the 2 extra strings, but at the same time, the string space between each string on the ukulele is usually wider than the guitar. So when people say that, it's kind of like, sure, believe that it's gonna be easier on ukulele. Come join us. And they're not knowing that it's like, not necessarily true, but if that's what you think, sure, yeah. Ooh, so easy. Yep.
I needed another one of those Sopraninos. I had one, but I gave it to my brother-in-law's daughter, like Wade's kid, and because she wanted to learn how to play ukulele. I'm like, oh, I got one of these. You can give her one of these, and she can learn. But I actually dug it. Like, I like that Sopranino uke, and it was like next to my desk. So maybe instead of the one of those micro ukes that I have, just have one of those Sopraninos. Maybe I can give my kid that too instead of the soprano that she has.
Was it the Kala?
No, it was Ohana. It was an Ohana Sopranino.
Oh,
yeah.
Ohana did make.
I got it from Mim. That's why.
do either of those companies still make that? I don't know if they. I don't know. Kala discontinued.
Oh, really?
That pocket uke. Yeah, Kala discontinued that. I don't know if Ohana still makes.
I got the Ohana one. I got it from Mim, so maybe I'll ask Mim. I do want another one though, but they're pricey for what they are. They're like a tiny ukulele, and they're like $300-$400, like the same price as like a normal size good ukulele. Yeah, good soprano. And I'm not saying it's like not built well because it's made it's made well. It sounds good and it stays in tune and stuff. It's just tiny, but
you're getting into
all of the same things go into making it as any bigger instrument.
You're getting into the dangerous territory of sounding like a guitar person buying their first uke, right? Oh, why is this $500? You don't need to use as much wood. This isn't as much wood as a guitar would. You shouldn't pay for that.
I think even those micro
amount
ukes.
Of time. Yeah.
I think the micro ukes are like $200 or something, or like $150 to $200. Those like little tiny ukuleles. It's pricey. Let's see, iUkes. Let me see how much those are. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Like do they have a site?
You still have
They're based off of a.
You still have your like peanut ukulele. I forget what it's called, but isn't that like it's in the shape of a peanut or something?
Do I still have that? I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened to that. Yeah, and I haven't thought about that uke in a long time.
Because you brought it in to show on a live lesson once, right? I think like yeah, it was like a pretty small one.
I can't find their site. The only thing I'm seeing is like some kind of app, like an iUke, like an app for iUke, and I guess SEO, like that's gonna bring it a lot higher.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, it's called iUke, and I can't find it, but I hope they still sell that, and I think it's about like $200 for one of those. But
sounds about right.
Yeah, well, since like Aquila like works with iUke, and I think I don't know if that's like part of their like umbrella or whatever, but yeah, they were just like, oh, you want some of these? Like, and they just gave me a bunch. I'm like, oh snap, I'll take them. Like whatever, because I had a even tinier like iUke in the beginning that like my cat broke, which I'm super mad about. But it still works. But it's just I know where it's broken. But and I asked them, like, do you guys can I get another one of these like little tiny ukuleles? But instead, I guess instead of making that tiny one, they started doing a production line of like just a little bit bigger, but still kind of like a micro ukulele. And those are the ones that I have. Yeah, I'll bring it next time. Put it over here. It's in my daughter's room. She's playing with it.
Yeah, I think going back to talking about like going from ukulele to guitar or something.
Yeah.
The nice thing about learning ukulele or learning any instrument really is kind of when you learn the fundamentals of an instrument. Instruments like string instruments, I guess I should say. If you move to another string instrument, you can pick up on it pretty quickly because the ideas are the same, right? Like it's like, oh, I put my finger down and I pluck it, or I do something to make a noise, and I move my finger up to make the note go higher. I move my finger down to make the note go lower. So like I restrung my mandolin and I kind of like tried to play along with it, or I tried to use it to learn and stuff. and I was playing along to our songs, and I was just going down to the play along playlists. And as I was doing that, I like come across a chord I don't know. I look up on a mandolin site, like what's the fingering for it, learn the fingering, and then just play along to the song. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm picking up on this a lot quicker than when I tried to learn ukulele or guitar. And it's just, I think it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, you realize like it's not that scary. And if you're holding a chord and it doesn't sound right, or it's hard to hold or something, for like I have it to the point where I can kind of know that I'm probably like my hand position is a little off or something. I can just change it a little bit, or I'm doing this a little bit differently, or I can, I there's ways that I can, because of my experience with guitar and ukulele, like I can kind of problem solve with the mandolin. So yeah, I think if you're learning ukulele and you're thinking about switching to another string instrument, it really is like, I think you'll probably find like, it's not as bad as when I first started learning ukulele or learning whatever. You'll probably pick it up quicker. Shape, there always is going to be a little bit differences, but then I think it's less scary than picking up your first instrument or whatever. It's
first stringed instrument.
It's like in fifths or something. Is that easier for you? Because it's kind of like a violin, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
There's like some chords that, like a G chord on mandolin, actually kind of looks like a G chord. It's like if you played a G chord on uke, but you didn't hold you didn't use your pointer finger. So it's just those two. Yeah, that chord shape exactly. So and then C is like that same shape, but then you move both of those up one string. So it's like a lot of, or not fret, but one string. A lot of those things, like it's kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, it's I can make the connection, I can understand it. But then there's some that I'm just like, what? How do mandolin players hold this? This is weird. Yeah. This is a weird chord shape. I don't understand it. But after playing for a while, it's like, I can get it, So it's like I was playing along to Bad Leroy Brown and getting that. Yeah. And then learning those seventh shapes and learning to play along to it. So yeah, I think if you're thinking about jumping to another string instrument, and you have the money or resources to do so, it's like, go for it. It's fun. It just adds to it. Yeah.
Sopranino's still being sold by Ohana. Short scale Sopranino going $219 on the Ohana site, but I think you can get it for cheaper on like some authorized dealers. So they are selling those things still. But I think the Kala one has been discontinued, like Aaron was saying. But Sopraninos from Ohana,
they're pocket uke. Yeah.
Oh, pocket ukes. Yeah, Sopraninos are still a thing with Ohana apparently. So, and we got Ken Middleton right in front and center. It's cool though. I dig it. I gotta buy another one, like, because it's I do miss it, and I think that'll be easier for my kid to learn on instead of like those little tiny micro ukes. It'll just be tuned a little bit different. Yeah. Sopranissimo. I don't know. Those tinier. It's cool though. It was I dig it, and it was I had actually just planned to like to just carry it, like just keep it in my car for like the beach or whatever, but I'm not like a beach guy anyway, so it didn't make sense. So I gave it away. That's why I'm like, I guess
for the one time that you go to the
beach. I've been going more often since like the since the lockdown. Not that much people have been been going, so I've been going more. So maybe I should. Now it makes sense. Now maybe I should get one of those Sopraninos.
You can it's like, I'm just like Jason Mraz, take my guitar down to the beach, hang out, play some songs.
My avocados.
So cool. Yeah.
Jack Johnson.
Have you heard Jason Mraz's new songs and stuff?
I didn't know he came out with new stuff.
I heard the title track that it came out in like February,
something like that. Yeah.
March.
Is that the one where like he talks twice or whatever? Like
I don't know.
There's a song where like he says all the words like double time, like not double time, but like he says it twice, and it's just, come on, man. You used to be like the man, like writing lyrics. Now it's just like I love you. Like it's I just whatever. That's cool, I guess. If that's if that's where he feels like his music is heading, then Good on you. That's cool, I guess. But I got off at the last stop of this train. I don't know.
I just thought of Jason Mraz because I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and they have that. There's a joke in it where Andy Samberg, his character, is wearing a fedora, and then another character is like, "Who are you trying to be, Jason Mraz?" And he's like, "Jason Mraz? No, I'm not Jason Mraz." And they're like, "No, he looks more like Tom Green." And he's like, "No, go back to Jason Mraz. I want to be Jason Mraz."
That's awesome. Yeah, he was doing like a bunch of like live videos, from the Maranch, and that's what he calls it, the Maranch. And like, and I clicked on it because the thumbnail had him like playing an ukulele. Like I don't know if it was like I think it was a baritone ukulele or something like that. Anyway, like I was very interested, and I'm like, I gotta check this out. It's Mraz singing new tunes, and then that's what I heard. That's what I heard. This is not for me. Maybe it's for someone else, but it's not for me.
Oh,
you gotta listen to it. It's one of those like that's cool, I guess, like because it's catchy maybe, but it's one of those like, dude, you wrote like. Waiting for my rocket to come. Like, what happened?
Go back to
you were the curbside prophet.
Yeah.
Go back to writing Geek in the Pink and that kind of
whatever. Here's my broke butt telling like millionaire Jason Mraz how to make music.
What to do. Hey.
He's like, I think I'm gonna keep making my millions.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, you know what you should do? Yeah, it's one of those like, no, Aldrine, I think I'm good, man.
Oh man,
I will write my songs.
Oh man, it was way cooler when you weren't making money and you were just writing songs and nobody knew about you. You should go back to doing that. Yeah,
go back to playing at coffee shops, Jason.
Yeah.
Get out of your Maranch.
Somebody told me that Billie Eilish just recently had a video playing ukulele too.
She has like a Fender uke that they and I guess like proceeds to that goes to somewhere like maybe music education or something. But yeah, she released like a Fender uke. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I've seen it. It looks like a Billie Eilish ukulele, like
yeah.
It's cool, I guess. Like
Does it have like a green stripe down the middle or something?
I don't think so. It does like have design like in the front, but I don't know. Like I've reached an age where like there's some things that the young people like and I don't understand. This is that age. 36 last week or 2 weeks ago when I made 36. That's like, and my wife, like she's
longer kid.
Yeah, like she's younger than me, and she's like talking about like TikTok and stuff. And I checked it out, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like I used to be in with the cool kids, Now I'm just like, I don't know why are they running away? They like say something and then they run away. Like what? I don't get it.
You just don't understand, Dad. Get out of here.
I don't, Kahai. Please tell me what the young kids like.
You're embarrassing me, Dad. Stop.
Who's that actor like with the two skateboards? Like, hey, fellow kids or whatever. What's his name? Yeah, Steve Buscemi. I feel like that now. We're like, hey, fellow kids, with my two skateboards.
Yeah, trying to blend in.
Yeah, man, it's
or
like do you remember the show Strangers with Candy?
Yes, I love that show.
Yeah,
with
basically that, right?
Yeah.
Trying to blend in.
50-year-old lady like going back to high school. That was a star-studded cast. There's like a lot of like good people from that show that like made it. Like what's his name on the Tonight Show? Like he was on that show. The guy who used to be in the Daily Show, but then he got his own show. What's his name? I forget. Anyway,
Craig Kilborn?
No, not that guy. He was one of the correspondents, not Jon Stewart.
Oh, I don't know, Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert, yeah, Stephen Colbert
really?
was in that. Yeah, he was in
on
Strangers and Candy. He was a teacher.
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
Stephen
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
It's oh man, see, we're showing our age, man. Oh, the one thing, like, kids were like going crazy over this like whole Travis Scott McDonald's thing. I'm like, who is Travis Scott? And I listened to it, like his most famous song, whatever. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know who that is, but
like,
he has his own McDonald's thing.
Yeah, like the last
his own McDonald's meal.
The last time McDonald's collaborated with somebody was Michael Jordan, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know who Michael Jordan is. Like, now it's like, who's Travis? What's his name? Scott? Travis Scott.
Was that
like,
really the last time that somebody had their own signature meal?
Yep. It was Michael Jordan. So I'm like, okay, this has got to be like somebody worth noting. And I was like, okay, this guy's a musician. He's a rapper. He's a musician and stuff. And I listened to it. And I like rap. I'm not one of those people who like, this is rap and rap is crap. Like, no, like rap. You know, like I wanted to like it.
Oh, I don't like this rap.
Oh, I don't like that. Oh no! What's with all the curse words?
So
Will Smith didn't have to curse in his songs.
What was that?
Yeah. You know why? Because parents just don't understand.
Oh man!
You know, Will Smith did a song. He did Just the Two of Us, like a rap version of Just the Two of Us. I sent the music video to Aaron and I asked if because he does it with his son, and his son is like, Dad, I don't know, it's like, Dad, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, or something, you know, at the beginning of the intro to the song.
It's Jaden Smith. You have to put some respect to the Karate Kid.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's not.
Okay.
It's not
Jaden. It's another kid.
It's his older son. His son before Jaden.
I thought you were talking about the
no.
Karate Kid. Okay.
No, it's before.
Continue.
Yeah, but like, so it's him and his son and stuff, and you know, it's like he raps over like the song "Just the Two of Us." Yeah. Okay. So I sent that video to Aaron and I was like, can we remake this video and can I act like, or because I think in I forget which Austin Powers, they do the same thing where it's him and Mini-Me, right? And they do the song "Just the Two of Us." So I was like, can we do this? But I will be Mini-Me, or I will be Will Smith's son, and you can be Will Smith.
Yeah. And then like you sent that to me and I was like, actually the Bill Withers version is a great song. Like
it's got a good progression.
We should do that as like a lesson.
Yeah, I played that song on Fridays with Kaidi. Kaidi jams that song. And yeah, maybe bring Kaidi and Rando back to do that, because we did like harmonies and stuff. And Kahai, Kahai is with his mandolin. Bring your mandolin, Kahai.
Just me and you will get matching suits, right? And then so it's like, and then I'll be like, I'll get down on my knees. So I'll be like, oh yeah, Dad, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
My own kid doesn't even want to be like me. But yeah, good stuff.
No,
guys.
we should have Kahai do that one part that Mini-Me says like "you and I" and have Randall voice it.
But then Kahai singing.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the voiceover.
Oh yeah, that could work. Okay, nobody steal that idea.
Nobody steal the idea.
Nobody steal that idea. We're gonna do it. Just like with electric slide. Okay, nobody steal that. Do a little Friday Night Jam. We should do electric slide. Okay, nobody steal that. Because it took months to do that song, you know? Maybe not even 3, like 4 or 5 months it took us to do that song.
Yeah.
I think
nobody steal that.
Because I think we talked about it like in December of the last year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. I like how it turned out. You know what I rewatched last night, and on this we'll kind of we'll end the show. But I watched the play along for Little Wing, because for some reason I remembered it as if like I sang the song. But then Jason sang the song, and I'm like, oh, this is enjoyable. Like, because it's not me singing this. And I must have listened to it like this week at least like 5-6 times. Like, Jason really kills it. Like in that.
It was a live version too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
we filmed it live.
I don't know. There was one part in my second solo, or did I? Oh, I did this like really cool run. I'm like, how did I do that? Like, and I watched myself do it. I'm like, yeah, and I figured it out. So, because I needed to get to that G, and I'm like, I did this like weird run. I'm like, oh, I'm stealing that from myself.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those like I reached a different level based on like who I'm jamming with, like say I jam with Jason, like my blues level goes up for some reason, just being in proximity to Jason. And same thing with Calais and Abe, like I'm tempted to like play more like fancier chords, or like just be better in general with no choices. It's like a weird phenomenon. I have this Kahai, I'm gonna call it Sharingan. The Kakashi Sharingan, this copy ninja going on right now. I see it. I dissect it. I'm like, I could do that.
Just on the spot.
Yeah, on the spot. Just like copy their technique.
I wish I was a bigger nerd where I actually knew what that jutsu is called. But I just remember copy no jutsu. I'm gonna do some copy no jutsu. Yeah.
Oh, like kind of copy no. I might know it. Like copy like when Naruto makes like the extra. Like copy shadows? Which what are you talking about? That's Kagebunshi
just
no jutsu?
The Sharingan. Like it doesn't.
Sharingan?
Because it's there's a specific name for when he actually uses that to copy other people, right? So that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Oh.
And I think we just like like when we were reading Naruto when it was coming out, like me and my friends, instead of actually using the real name, it's just like, oh, you're doing like copy no jutsu from Naruto.
No jutsu. Yeah. All right, well, we gotta end no jutsu. It's been too long, but check out that play along. I just went back and listened to it. It was actually really really cool because it was like Aaron said, it was live. Like me and Jason just kind of sat down and jammed that song, and it became a lesson. So make sure to check that out. Check out our brand new play along channel while you're at it. We have 2 awesome songs in there for now, but since we're making the brand new Ukulele HQ, we'll be making more play alongs, and not just monthly play alongs, but stay tuned for that. We're going to be filling that channel with tons and tons and tons of music. So subscribe now and click on that bell notification to let you know when we upload stuff, because it won't just be on the first of the month. Okay, so we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one. See you tomorrow for Aloha Friday Live Jam, and stick around for one-on-one coaching. Aloha.